Here's the thing about survival that nobody wants to talk about. The part that every movie skips over and every tough guy prepper conveniently leaves out of their videos. You look at your deadbolts, your reinforced doors, your stockpile in the basement, and you think you've built a fortress. You haven't, you've built a tomb. Staying in your pre-collapse home is dangerous for multiple reasons. Your home is optimized for normal times, not defense. It has windows everywhere for light and view, multiple entry points for convenience, and thin walls that don't stop bullets. It's not a fortress, it's a house pretending to be one. And when society collapses, people want to feel safe, so they fortify their homes and wait. But comfort will get you killed. You're not looking for soft ground and a nice view. You're looking for a position that is difficult to approach without making noise, has limited entry points, and gives you at least one escape route that doesn't require going through the same door a threat would come in from. Here are the 6 fatal traps that turn a house into a grave, why your instincts drive you straight into them, and the counterintuitive methods the survivors use instead. Number 1. The High Visibility Fortress. This is the mistake most people make on day 1. They board up windows with heavy plywood, they padlock the gates, and they make their home look impenetrable. They believe visible strength keeps them safe. It doesn't. You are projecting force to deter threats. But what you are actually doing is advertising that you have something worth protecting. Every time you project force or establish control over territory, you're challenging others. You make enemies of other groups. The aggressive posture that seemed like strength becomes the reason you're targeted. The counterintuitive truth is low visibility. The survivors don't look like a group to outsiders. There is no compound, no patrols, no obvious structure. Raiders don't recognize them as a target. This invisibility provides security. If you must secure a building, do it from the inside so the exterior looks exactly as abandoned and stripped as the houses next to it. You're not trying to be invisible. You're trying to be inconvenient enough that anyone looking for an easy target moves on to someone who didn't think this hard about where they passed out. Number 2. The Acoustic Death Trap. Most people assume that if their house is completely silent, they are safe. Complete silence is actually your enemy when it comes to sleeping safely. And this is counterintuitive enough that it trips up almost everyone. In perfect silence, every tiny sound you make breathing, shifting, coughing becomes audible to anyone in the area. And it also means every tiny sound they make jolts you awake in a panic, which means you never reach deep sleep. What you want is a consistent layer of ambient noise that masks small sounds in both directions while still allowing loud, sudden sounds to break through and wake you. Use the environment as a blanket of sound. An open window on a windy night gives you a low-level howl that serves the same purpose. A dripping faucet or a container slowly collecting water produces a rhythmic ambient sound that your brain quickly learns to ignore while remaining sensitive to anything that breaks the pattern. Even crumpling up a plastic bag and placing it near a draft so it rustles intermittently gives you a consistent baseline noise that your subconscious can monitor without keeping you consciously awake. The goal is to give your brain a sonic wallpaper that it can tune out for sleep purposes, but that simultaneously masks the small sounds of your existence from anyone listening nearby. Number 3. The Top Floor and Basement Coffins. When people relocate inside a building, they naturally gravitate to the extremes: the basement to hide or the top floor to see threats coming. Both are fatal miscalculations. Avoid basements unless they have separate exits. Basements are traps if the entry is compromised. You're underground with no escape. Only use a basement if there's a secondary exit you've tested and can use in darkness. And avoid the top floor, though, because if you need to leave in a hurry, you don't want to be trapped with nothing above you but roof and nothing below you but the people you're running from. The sweet spot is the middle floors where you have the option to go up or down depending on where the threat is coming from. High ground is your best friend here. The second or third floor of any building is dramatically safer to sleep in than the ground floor because anyone approaching has to climb stairs. And stairs are noisy, slow, and create a natural choke point that works in your favor. Number 4. The predictable entry defeat. People rely on locks. In a world where there are no locks that can't be broken and no police coming when you scream, closing your eyes feels like signing your own death certificate. Instead of relying on a deadbolt, you need to build an early warning system out of garbage. You don't need motion sensors or security cameras, you need noise. Anything that makes a sound when disturbed becomes an alarm system that works while your brain is offline. Dry leaves and twigs scattered on hard floor surfaces create a carpet of crunch that's nearly impossible to walk across silently, especially in the dark when the person approaching can't see what they're stepping on. Broken glass spread around doorways and window access points does the same thing, but louder, and with the added psychological deterrent that whoever's approaching now has to decide if what they want from you is worth walking through broken glass in the dark. Plastic water bottles, half filled with gravel and balanced on the edge of a door frame, will topple and crash the instant someone pushes that door open. The key to making any of these systems work is testing them yourself before you go to sleep. Walk through your own trip lines, push open your own booby trap door. If you can get through quietly, so can someone else, and you need to redesign it. Number 5. Sleeping in the obvious spot. This is where people die. Even if they secure the building, they sleep on the bed in the master bedroom. Sleeping is the most vulnerable thing a human being can do. Your reaction time is measured in the seconds it takes your brain to even figure out where you are and what's happening. Don't sleep where someone would expect to find you. If there's a bed or a couch in the room, don't sleep on it. Sleep behind it or under a desk in the far corner or in a closet with the door pulled mostly shut. If someone does get into the room, their eyes and their attention will go straight to the obvious sleeping spots first. And in the time it takes them to realize the bed is empty and start scanning the room, you've already heard them. You're already oriented and you're already moving toward the window or the secondary exit you identified before you laid down. If you want to survive, you employ the decoy camp. Set up a decoy sleeping position somewhere visible or findable. A rolled-up jacket under a blanket on a couch does a surprisingly convincing job of looking like a sleeping person in low light. Place it in the obvious spot, then you actually sleep somewhere less comfortable but far less obvious. You've traded 10 minutes of setup time for a buffer of confusion that could save your life. Number 6. The trap of static isolation. The final fatal flaw is thinking you can lock yourself inside and survive alone forever. You assume everyone outside is a threat. This isolation means you miss opportunities that could save you and face threats alone that you could have faced collectively with allies. Instead of isolating in a static fortress, you must become part of an adaptive network, small nodes of 2 to 5 people maximum. You don't integrate with them, you establish relationships, create regular information exchange. The network knows more than any single group, they see threats coming. When a location becomes dangerous, they move. When a resource becomes scarce, they find alternatives. The lack of rigid structure means they're not locked into failing strategies. Here is the uncomfortable reality that ties all of this together. Structure kills, flexibility survives. The survivor's mindset is avoidance, invisibility, discipline. Your gun is step 3 of a 3-step process. Avoid problems first. If you can't avoid, de-escalate or escape. If you can't de-escalate or escape, then and only then do you resort to violence. You don't need someone watching your back if you've already made your back impossible to find. Layer your defenses, trust your alarm systems. Sleep where nobody expects. The night is long and you are alone, but alone and prepared is 1,000 times safer than surrounded and careless. Check your exits, close your eyes, and if the cans rattle, you'll be gone before whoever tripped them ever reaches the room where you weren't.